Hey Ubers! Well, I thought I'd like to read to you a little bit. I'm reading to you again from interviews with Francis Bacon. If there's one book that I recommend that you guys get, it's definitely this one. It's one to have on the shelf. It's full of really awesome ideas, wisdom. I love Francis Bacon. I think we'd either get on really well or we'd kill each other. But I'm so in tune with his thinking about life and art in general. I just find this book really inspiring that I've actually found someone that thinks like me in a lot of ways, and it's cool. So I'm just going to read to you a little bit. So David Sylvester's an art writer, art critic, and he's basically interviewing him, and he put this book together straight from the interviews. So I'm going to read a little bit. So David says to Francis, obviously it is an impossible thing to generalise, but how long does it tend to take you to paint a large triptych? Francis says, I think about 2 or 3 weeks, but it can sometimes take 2 months. David says, do you nowadays still sometimes abandon a large painting when you have been working on it for a week or so? Francis, well, if I've been working on it for some time and it just doesn't seem to be right, I cut it up and destroy it because the paint becomes so clogged and there is nothing to do, as I really do like paint to be very fresh. David, sometimes you send a painting to Marlborough, get it back in the studio after a few days and go on with it. Is it more useful? Is it more usually a success or a mistake when you rework it? Francis, it's true to say that I sometimes let paintings out too soon, because I find that if they are in the studio I go on fiddling with them. But there is this other side that I do know, that very often when I have had paintings back, it has helped me a great deal to see them again, and I've been able to add to them. I think that it was Renoir who said that one should turn the canvas to the wall for 3 months and forget about what one was trying to do, and then one will see the result without remembering what one had been trying to do. David says, and you don't do that, do you? Francis, I don't do that because the space I live in is too small, but I do agree that after about 3 months you have forgotten what you wanted to do, and so you see it again raw. David, I can think of one painting which you were able to change very successfully, even some years after it was done. It was a triptych of 1974, the central panel of which was a reclining figure in the foreground, which you painted out in 1977. Francis, I think it looks very much better without that thing in the foreground. I think I painted it out very well so that it couldn't come back. I hope you don't see it emerging again, ever. I don't see it emerging in my lifetime, at least. Your titles, how do they come about? Well, I really try to use the most anonymous titles possible, so I nearly always call the things studios for this or that, and the Marlborough Gallery add the titles partly because they want to be able to remember what the pictures were. For one thing, they want to try and get these things for exhibitions or something like that, and it's easy if there is a title labelled onto them. For instance, with the paintings that I did, which the Marlborough called Triptych, inspired by T.S. Eliot's poem Sweeney Agnostics, they had asked me how these images came about, and I said that I had just been reading Sweeney Agnostics, and they titled it in the way they did. And that is how those titles very often come about. But I really want to keep them as anonymous as possible, because I think that the titles lie within the images and people can read what they like into them. David, do you like to leave the spectator free to read the work as he sees it? But don't the crasser misinterpretations sometimes irritate you very much? Francis, they don't irritate me because I understand that that is how things are. I mean, people can interpret things as they want. I don't even interpret very much what I do. By saying that, don't think that I don't think that I'm inspired, but But I work, and what I do I may like the look of, but I don't try to interpret it. After all, I'm not really trying to say anything. I'm trying to do something. Also, when I started to paint, I never expected anybody to ever buy my work. I did it to excite myself, and I always thought that I would have to do some other kind of job to earn my living. So that though I have gradually been lucky enough to sell paintings and been able to live by my work, I think that I still have the same indifference to what other people think about it. David says, so you really are not working with any thought of an audience, Francis? I'm working for myself. What else have I got to work for? How can you work for an audience? What do you imagine that an audience would want? I have got nobody to excite except myself, so I'm always surprised if anybody else likes my work sometimes. I suppose I'm very lucky, of course, to be able to earn my living by something that really absorbs me to try and do, if that is what you call luck. Yeah. Interesting stuff. I love this book. Anyway, I just wanted to quickly talk about creativity, and when you haven't done art for a while, if you've taken a break, I don't know about you, but I guess a lot of people find it very difficult to get back into the creative flow and get the juices flowing, as they say. Now, the way that I overcome this initial challenge of getting back into the flow is by doing lots of small stuff. It may be like sorting out my art supplies, cleaning paintbrushes properly. It might be varnishing artworks, sorting out my assemblage station. It might be something like I'm working on now, is resolving like little small artworks. I put a lot of copper tape around them today just to tidy them up a bit. Yeah, it's just like doing really small stuff that doesn't take a lot but actually spurs on your creativity. And I think that way is a good way to actually get things flowing. I bought a bunch of these key mechanisms, lock mechanisms I should say, at an antiques art fair last year, and I've been thinking, because I was going to use them in assemblages and stuff, and I've got a bunch of these recycled artworks that I started, and I'm not really, I mean I do like them, and I think a lot of them work for good reasons, but they're not resolved. So I've been looking at a lot of Rauschenberg's artworks to get inspiration to continue on with these, and that's probably part of the reason why I've added the key mechanism onto the artwork. And although it doesn't really, they don't really match, and it doesn't really, God, the cat just scared the frig out of me, because the door opened up. But my challenge now is to make it a cohesive one-piece artwork rather than this separation. But I'm looking through my little bits and pieces, and I came across this, which I thought was pretty. So I thought I might stick it on there, like so. I thought it was quite nice. But yeah. But yeah, like I said, just doing small stuff is a great way to get kick-started in the creative mode. I also going to finish off a bunch of these small assemblages that I've been working on that I need to resolve. But that's what I'm doing. Anyway, Yubers, I'm going. I hope you liked that little bit that I read out. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. Cute, huh? I bought that at an antiques fair as well. Actually, I think I got this in Denmark at an antique store. Yeah. I think I did. Anyway, you put your tea leaves in it and then you soak it in your cup. That's cute. So, alright guys. Talk to you later.